fun. We get to be together
Yes.
again. Well.
We are both having the same morning, so we very much need this.
Oh my gosh, yesterday was such a, yesterday was just a crazy day. So anyways, well, we're on Mindsetaholics, and we have the beautiful Mel Asher and
the beautiful Valerie Cobb. We cannot forget that.
And we're here to rant and rave and have a good time on this podcast today. So anyways, but Mel had the topic today.
Yes. We are going up on my soapbox. We can call it words and phrases you should not say in business or in marketing your business, but it really stems off of a few core ones that really get under my skin. Yeah. Why and passion and expert. We'll branch off into the others because there's way more. I think you and I were chatting, and just in like 30 seconds, we came up with about 10 of them. Those are the core, and I know trust gets under your skin. It gets under my skin too, but not as bad as why and passion.
Why and passion. Yeah, I have a lot of things to say about why, by the way.
I know. Let's start with why, because that's usually what gets people wound up the most. They're going to take offense, and great, disagree with us. Put it in the comments below. We never said you had to agree with us. We're just saying we don't like these concepts, these words in marketing, and we have a reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. We have reasons, and I'm going to let you lead out on your reasons, and then I will just chime in.
Okay, so you're really good at quoting books. Do you remember the book All About Your Why or something like that?
Well, I know Simon Sinek's Start With Why, and then of course we went through. Now I'm older, so we went through that whole millennium thing, and Simon Sinek got that, rave because he did the golden circle with why, which by the way was actually Dale, I think Dale Carnegie did it before that, and there's been like a gazillion others on it, but and I think when you're finding yourself and trying to figure out your why, that's fabulous. Yes, I do. I quote books all the time. I don't know why
I know, that's why I turned it over to you. I'm like, till I find it in my head, until I get the author right, I'm just going to throw this back over to you because you usually can go get it like that.
Just not names, but books for some reason. Yes. Yes. And the author. I don't know why.
I'm good at remembering the data points and the key points for implementation, but when it comes to the authors, the book, movies, actors just completely elude me every time. Okay, so here's my issue with why. Okay. Your why is fabulous as a personal motivator.
Yes.
Definitely. You do not lead your business, particularly your marketing or your product development or your go-to marketing, with why. And here is why.
Here is why.
When you have a problem, you do not go to Google, Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, call your BFF, call your significant other and say, hi, I need a solution that donates to orphaned kids and the jungle in this part of the world.
Okay.
You don't do that. You call somebody, you go to your favorite search engine, and you type in, this is my problem. How do I solve it? You lead problem first, not why first.
Yeah.
Your presentation, how you deliver your content, how you deliver is always value to alleviate the pain first. Absolutely. People don't care about why you do something until you've solved their pain. And even then, only sometimes they actually care about your why. Your why is a personal motivator. You lead with value.
It's an interesting concept, because if we go back and so there's two things too. When you're training in any kind of motivation, you ask questions of what and how. Now, if you think about interrelationships and you think about narcissism, narcissistic behavior is all about me, right? So now you're in a transactional analysis between two. You're an organization, and that organization has a solution for a challenge that is maybe your why, right? To solve some of your why, that's great. But that organization says, but my why is X. And they're like, well, except for I'm trying to go to you to get my solution, my why, and you sort of think about that. So what and how questions are actually less offensive too. You use why very, very rarely. Like if I say to you, Mel, why? Think of your 2-year-old. Why? 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 Right? It goes back to, we talked about the word trust, right? Trust is earned. So a lot of times when you use the word why, so let's talk about the why usage of it. When we use the word why, we put people on defensive because it's questioning them. Why? Right? So if you start as a business organization leading out, as so to speak, with your why, and it has implications. Yeah, the golden circle why, the why to the how to the what, right? Because you're doing product development, you're trying to figure out, what's going to fit. But when you're trying to decide how to get people to buy your product, it is all about them. Exactly. And what they're searching for. It isn't about you and your why. You hope your why and them align, right? And sometimes every once in a while you get lucky, because it's like, wow, they have the same charity, or they have the same core values. A website has the about us either at the bottom of the page or over to the side. Why? Because at first we're trying to solve a problem. Secondly, we go, let's develop trust. Who am I working with? And do I align with who I'm working with? And that's, yeah. So,
and you brought up a very key point. No, you're right. Why is about the internal discovery, whether it be within you as a person, within your team, within your company, within your product development. That is where why is very important. Why are we doing this? What problem are we solving? How are we going to do it? Why is vitally important there, because it helps keep you focused. It helps remind you why you are there and how you are attempting to accomplish a goal. Call it a belief, call it a value. That's where why is really, really powerful. Why does not become an external thing, because people don't care about your why until after you've solved their problem. And even then, it's more like sprinkles on the ice cream. It's completely optional. You don't need them.
It's optional. It's funny because over time it becomes very important in churn rate, right?
Yes.
So when we're talking about renewals,
but that's in the relationship aspect.
That's in the relationship aspect down the road. You're actually trying to keep customers. And so keeping customers, remember, they buy for their reasons, and they buy on emotion. They're data informed. Now, if people go, well, but data, and I'm a big data. You always tease me about this a bit, right? I'm big data. But at the end of the day, the data just informs them. They make an emotional decision. So they will eventually be buying into the why of the organization But more often than not, it's the why of the account manager or customer success person who they like.
Very
and that's
much
why it's precarious when the organizations lose one of their top whatever. It isn't that customers are just going to jump and follow. In fact, less than 10% do. But at the end of the day, there's some damage control and some rebuilding of the relationship that has to happen in that interim. But yeah, absolutely.
And so if we're going to put this in a timeline, we don't lead with why, we build with why.
Oh, I like that. That's the name of this episode. We build with why. We don't lead. Oh, I like it. We don't lead with why. Because and the interesting thing is that's
build and retain with why.
Yeah, build and retain with why, because you lead to the solution, not with the solution anyways, right? So
exactly
that, and there's big studies on that.
There are
on that. Yeah.
Okay, can we jump over to my other one that really gets me animated?
Yes. We want to jump.
Passion. I really hate this word.
Well, it depends on what we're talking about. If we're in the movie.
Agreed. Agreed. I get on resumes, you need to say, I'm passionate about this.
Oh, yeah, they don't care about what you're passionate about anyway. So yeah, we already just discussed that on the why.
Exactly. When you say that you are passionate about your audience or solving this problem, that is a complete ego statement. That is saying, me, 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 me. And it has absolutely nothing to do with them. Now, if I were to say, Valerie is passionate about this, then passionate becomes this amazing over-the-top world compliment.
Yeah.
But it's because I, as a third party, have stated that about Valerie. I'm not putting on a little passion hat that says, I'm passionate about.
Yeah. That is I think that is one of the biggest challenges that we deal with in today's society. And let's get back to narcissistic behavior, that somehow if you're passionate, everybody else should see it that way. Just kind of the same word as the same reasoning as trust me, you know, because I say I'm a good partner. That's my hate one. We're going to be good partners. And it's like,
but what
so
you just presented to me is actually completely one-sided.
I was going to say it is one-sided, and that doesn't even sort of enter into it. So when you put on a resume or a company puts on that we're passionate about X, okay, good for you.
Want a cookie?
Okay, pop the cookie up again. So at the end of the day, I just find, again, let's go back to human nature, right? We're B2B. We're talking B2B right now, right? We're not talking friendships. We're not dating in a bar. Although if you went to a bar and you said, I'm passionate, people probably start to go, la, 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 because they're tired of hearing about yourself, right? So anyways, that's dating tips from Valerie, who hasn't dated in many years. So. But when you think about a transactional analysis, if it's all about one person or one statement, you can just see eyes gloss over. So when somebody says, I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever, and passionate is definitely one that I find, okay, in business, that means that you're like, what does the word actually even mean? Let's dumb that down a little bit when we're saying.
It also demonstrates it also makes you come across that you are not as professional or don't have the level of experience as somebody else that does.
Yeah.
If you have to rely on passion or thought leader or any of these that we're talking about.
we're in the influencer organization, that the influencer realm, right? It's blah, 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 blah. Okay. Sorry. Because somehow yeah. What was that? Oh gosh. Well, I broke your thought. Keep going.
No, go ahead. I was just going to I'm just pulling up the definition of passion so we could, you asked
Yeah.
what is the actual definition, and I do this with my clients all the time. I once had a client who insisted on using the word peace in their organization name. And what their organization did versus what the word meant and was understood culturally to mean were polar opposites of each other. And so I do this all the time with clients. It's like, okay, I understand that this word is important to you. Do you actually know what the word means? So, okay, I have it pulled up. Passion as a noun. This is a religious connotation or a religious definition. The sufferings of Christ between the night of the Last Supper and his death. And then we have the state or capacity of being acted on by external agents or forces. Other passions of matter is the example.
Okay.
From an emotion perspective, it means intense driving or overmastering feeling or conviction.
Well, that
it
goes
also
on.
means an outbreak of anger.
Oh, yeah.
But again, looking at the actual definitions, for somebody to say, I'm passionate about,
yeah,
it doesn't fit. A strong liking or desire or devotion to some activity, object, or concept. Sexual desire, an object of desire or deep interest. Those are actual definitions.
So you'd have to have deep conviction. Let's go to the religious sense of it, because it actually explains it quite a bit. You'd have to have deep conviction to do what Christ did that evening, reportedly, right? So, and there's all sorts of emotions around the word passionate, right? And you said love, lust, whatever, because it's a deep driving, whatever kind of thing. It can be anger. It can be any of those things. So I would dare say I'm going to sum it up in the dumb world of Valerie. And that is Mel is passionate about people not using the word passionate about themselves.
For the very same reason.
It's a big no.
For the very same reason. Nobody goes to a search engine or calls you up to say, I need this solution to be passionate and whatever.
Yes. Purely from a business standpoint, it is exactly what you're saying it is. And I concur. I mean, anytime though that you're putting a sticker on your forehead for yourself, that's problematic to the end consumer. And as I say, we're business to business, yes, it's on a resume, but remember, you are the product in your resume. And I've had people ask me about their resume, and I look through it and I'm like, yep, there's no results on here. It's just a tick list of what you did, not how well you did it, or and it always starts with the five. I am blah.
I am passionate about a bunch of business buzzwords that do not correlate to the word passion at all.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And I think sometimes if you just take a step back and actually ask yourself, I mean, when we've been working in product development, just this morning, we asked the question, would somebody pay? Is it a great idea? Will somebody pay for it? So, and I've done that with my daughters. I hope they will watch this because they will laugh their heads off. But it was kind of like, when they were going through their whole, Simon Sinek says, I need my why that whole time because, and I said, that's so fabulous as long as somebody will pay for it.
Yes, because otherwise it's just a great idea and it's just a core belief or practice or value that you hold on to. And that's okay if it helps motivate you, if it helps make you feel different.
Yes.
But when it comes to business, building relationships with others, generating sales, getting the brand out there, that's not what does it.
It isn't. And the currency, as you have so aptly put in other things, the currency isn't necessarily monetary. Here's $1, pay for it. It's whatever that transaction is getting you for that why. And when I think about a little bit back at my kids, they're older now. So, it was like, sure, I totally support you in that. How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to do this? And well, I'm always going to just live in a studio apartment and it's going to be in the middle of the desert where nobody wants to live. So the rent is that way. And I'm like, great.
You still need to pay for your air conditioning.
Well, or you don't. You can sweat. You can do whatever you want. And at the end of the day, that's your choice. That's your choice. But remember, no matter what, if it's painted in a business situation, if somebody's not willing to transfer some kind of currency, whatever that is, you could trade, barter, I don't care what that is, does it get you to your end goal?
I think that's why it bothers me the most is when I do see it in this context, it's almost always presented as, because I'm passionate about, you should care more and make different decisions because of my passion.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm happy that you have identified this for yourself. That doesn't mean I need to change my life to accommodate you.
That brings me back clear to high school, and this resonates. It was an ethics class, and it was like, your rights end when they invade my rights.
Yes.
and I'll never forget that, because it was like, well, what if I want to punch you? And it was like, that's when your rights end. You might want to punch me, but I have rights and you are not permitted to punch me. Do you see that there is a point where you can want to do something, but you can cross a very interesting line. And it's the same thing. But in a business sense, it's a little bit more like spending 2 years. If you're going to market with something, spending 2 years getting told no over and over again because you're so stuck on your why, versus learning that it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what those who are willing to transfer currency of some sort thinks. That's it. That's why, I sang opera for 18 years. It's, great. Starving musician. 1% makes it. And most of that's luck, because there's really good ones all running around that never make it. Right. And you're like, okay, guess what? Let's see. Do I want to live in the desert, or do I want to go get another job and have my opera passion or my musical theater passion be the side gig or my outlet or I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, fun stuff for sure.
So what are some other words? We've mentioned my two big ones. We have, I think I've also mentioned thought leader briefly.
Oh, well.
Trust. Yeah, thought leader
messes its pants all the time. I can't figure that out. Thought leader messes its pants all the time. I can't figure that one out. So you have a thought and you are now a leader in this, because maybe you were great at marketing and got great following, or we've talked about that 85% of every there's great information out there. Everybody's a great thought leader. So what's going to differentiate that one? I mean, I don't even know if anybody will even watch Mindsetaholics. We're just sitting here bantering and having a good time. But at the end of the day,
it's power release.
I was going to say, I'm not going to profess to be a thought leader, I mean, and even some that are thought leaders, I wouldn't follow them.
No, it's almost as if putting thought leader or even expert attached to your own name is a guarantee that it means amateur.
It is. I can't stand it. They're like,
Yeah.
well, aren't you an expert? And I'm like, well, I'm a student of learning my entire life. So if you want to call me an expert, you go right ahead. I don't think I'm ever an expert. I'm sorry.
If you view me that way, then that's great. I'll take the compliments.
Sure.
It's not something I'm going to lead with. It's something that I don't mind if it is in, like, somebody writes me a testimonial or something, because again, it's somebody else declaring this of me and using it as a way to describe me as being different from everybody else out there. That's completely fine. But for me to walk around, or you to walk around and be like, we're experts, we're thought leaders.
Yeah.
Why do you need that self-proclamation?
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, Mel, I think we need to bring the word count to some other episodes, because I think we're going to come up with more, because we're going to start talking a little bit about search engine optimization and AI and some of that. That really, all of the things that, what are they actually searching for, and why are they actually, I used the word why are they searching for it? And
well, we need to know why they're searching for it, because just because you think you have the correct search term doesn't mean you do.
You don't. And you got to A/B test it and stuff like that.
Yep.
But that's a whole nother episode. But yeah, drop in the chat if you agree, disagree, in the comment. Sorry, chat comment. She knew what I meant.
Anymore.
And like it, love it, don't like it, share it, give us your thoughts on that. And this has been a fun one.
Until next time.
Adios.